Hi guys! Welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new legal advice content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first one is titled, Realtors have shown up on my property several times to show a plot of land that is for sale. The plot of land does not have road access, so the realtors are just coming down my driveway, walking across my property, to show the land to buyers. They say it's legal. Florida. I'll try to be brief. There is a big plot of land recently put up for sale that is nicely priced, so it's had quite a few people interested in buying it. Problem is, it is surrounded by a subdivision on two sides, a wildlife refuge on another side, and my farm on the fourth side. Access to this property is through this small gap between my farm and a subdivision somewhat in the corner. It is a dense forest, however, no road at all, as no one has cared for this property in 40 years. So now I have realtors that have begun driving up my clearly marked private driveway, with clients parking on my lawn, and walking 300 feet across my property to go show this plot of land. At first, I tried to be nice and explain the situation. My driveway is quite long, listed as a street, 3872 N street name, and dead ends right at my house. It might be confusing, and I don't want to be rude. So, I told them that if they really wanted to show the land, just give me a call so I know ahead of time. Well, this worked once, and now they've taken to just randomly driving up again. So, I got stern and told them the realty company and the agents that have shown up that this is my property, and they are trespassing. They are not allowed to use my driveway to show this property, and my land does not feature any access to the plot of land for sale. If they so choose, they should go up the road to that little gap where a road should be and walk through the forest. Even the MLS listing has that road as the address. They have told me that legally, they are allowed to do what they are doing, and that if I wanted to stop, maybe I should buy the land myself. I also noticed that the address to this plot of land is now listed as 3874 North, my street name, making it seem like my private driveway is the access point. So, I don't really know what to do. I installed a gate at the end of my road, which has increased the number of calls I'm now getting. But are these realtors, right? I've called a few law offices around town and none of them can give me a good answer. None have any experience in this. So, it looks like I'll be needing to speak with a lawyer in a bigger city, I suppose. Edit. I'm going to go to the county clerk's office later today and confirm everything. Even if it means just understanding my own property a little better, it's worth it. I'll also be stopping by the realty office shortly after. I'll post another update after that, I promise. Update. Thanks for your patience. A lot happened and I didn't want to ruin anything that was in the process of unfolding. I'm going to cut out a big chunk of what happened because it's not super relevant and I don't want to waste time. The gist is, the easement to the property in question is not on my property, but there was an easement there in 1986, however it was relocated when the property was surveyed and rezoned that year. Fast forward, I went to the realty office and spoke with the owner of the company. He was pretty douchey, bald, short, fat, wore thick gold chain and a huge watch. Almost like he watched 80s movies and picks up fashion advice from the villains. Anyway, he told me the owner of the property is very motivated to sell the land and that I should just buy it to get rid of the headache. The words he used and the way he said them immediately tipped me off that he was the one telling his realtors to pester me and go through my property, and if I spoke up about it, I should just buy it myself. So of course, I wasn't going to do that. I told him that my gate is now locked to all trespassers, and that if he's lucky, I'll only call the cops when I see any of his employees on my property again. I regret saying that, but I was so frustrated with this guy, you don't even know. So, for the next week or so, I saw maybe 2 cars pull into my driveway, get to the gate, get on their cell phones, then drive away. The next week was Christmas, and I got a visitor. It was the son of the guy that owned the property, visiting from out of state. His dad, the original owner, had died a few years back, and he was now looking to sell it because he doesn't want to pay the taxes and, nor do anything with it. Apparently, someone at the realty office told him of what was happening, and he wanted to come straighten everything out. He was extremely nice and apologized profusely. I ended up taking him to a bar. This was actually a few days before Christmas. Don't want to send the saddest image possible of 2 older guys drinking alone in a bar on Christmas. Learned a lot about his dad taking him hunting and camping on that property when he was a kid. It was really nice. So, the property is about 80 acres in total, appraised at $280,000, but listed at $200,000. I told him I'd love to buy it and just keep it the way it is. Maybe fence it off and add cattle to it, and his eyes lit up. I told him I don't have $200,000 sitting around and that I wouldn't feel right lowballing him. He kept pressuring me for a number, but I just couldn't come up with one that seemed fair. Fast forward again, January 2nd. I get a phone call from the guy, asking if anyone has come to see the property in a while. I had almost forgot that the realtors used to pester me, and I was happy to report I hadn't seen any since we last spoke. He told me he took the listing off the market and dropped that realty company. He asked me again for a number, and I told him $100,000 was the highest I could see myself going. He said, "Sold." So, a few days later, he showed up again with his lawyer, we signed some documents, I wrote a check, we went back to that bar to celebrate, and my farm just got 80 acres larger. Very, very happy. The next one is titled, "Two children 6 and 7 ran into the street, and I hit both of them. I was going less than 15 miles per hour, but they are hurt, and I am getting sued." California. Hello everyone. I was driving to go see a friend and I got out of my driveway and turned. I didn't even pass 4 houses when a small boy and girl both ran into the street and hit my quarter panel. Luckily, I didn't run them over, and I don't see how I am at fault here. Their mother came out and started screeching at me and threw more insults than I can count. She called the police and paramedics and they arrived. All of that went well, but today, a week after this happened, I got someone knocking at my door asking for my name and gave me an envelope saying I am being sued. I am only 18, so I don't know how any of this works. I am waiting for my dad to get home because he works with stuff like this. I do not have a dashcam, unfortunately. I told the police I was going speed limit, and these 2 kids happened to run out into the street without looking both ways, and the big SUV parked on the street was blocking my view. They dismissed me and I left, so I do not know what they said to the mother. But now I am getting sued, and I don't know how to defend myself really, and we don't have the budget for a lawyer right now. We do, but it's not how we want to be spending money at the moment. I am thinking of taking a picture of my point of view with the SUV parked where it was, but that's all I really got. Any help is appreciated. Thank you. Edit. Thanks to everyone who commented. I can't respond to each individually, but I've read all of them and I'm keeping everything in the back of my mind in case I need it. And yes, my diction was off. They ran into me. I technically didn't hit them. I will refrain from saying that. Update. I had the hearing a few weeks ago. The results are quite anticlimactic. I am off scotch-free, as I should be. A shop repaired my car, and I didn't have to pay out of pocket. The mother was found guilty of negligence or something along that sort. I have to go towards the neighbor's house to check my mail, and I'm looked at adversarial when I pass by. I haven't seen them this past week, however. My car is as beautiful as ever and I don't think the kids have anything against me, as they were no part of the idiocy their mom initiated. I don't know if I missed anything. I'm just writing an update because the original post got some traction and I think I recall a few people asking for an update. The next one is titled, "Considering suing my uncle after he intentionally fired an air horn meant for bears in my ear, and now I have what appears to be a permanent ringing in my ear." Michigan. I have a big family, with around 20 cousins, 10 aunts and uncles, and several others who always show up to family reunions. I'm a male in my 20s. Last weekend we had a family reunion in a cabin resort in the woods. On the last night there, while everyone was sitting by the campfire, my uncle by marriage, snuck up behind me and blasted an air horn about a foot or 2 away from the back of my head. This air horn was not a normal little one you often see at sporting events. This campground has bear around, so they keep several large air horns around the place to be used to scare off a bear in case they get too close. As soon as he did it, everyone called him an asshole and got angry at him. He showed no remorse whatsoever. He laughed about it, telling us how he and his friends from work have blown air horns at each other before as a prank. I was so furious when it happened that I didn't know what to do. I sat there quietly stewing in my rage for a while. I wanted to beat the crap out of him or hold him down while I emptied half of the air horn directly into his ear. But instead, I walked away eventually and spent the rest of the night in my room. It's important to know that this uncle was hosting this reunion. It's a corporate retreat campground that his company lets employees use. He clearly knew he ducked up because he attempted to apologize the next day, but it was a pretty shitty apology. While everyone was sitting down for breakfast, he snuck up behind me, put his arms on my shoulders and quietly said, "I heard your ears were ringing. Sorry about that." He didn't even say it to my face or say it loud enough for anyone else to hear. I grumbled something about it's okay, but I absolutely do not forgive him. This happened last Saturday, a week ago. For the first couple days my ears were literally sore, and any loud noises were painful to hear. Since then, my ears have been constantly ringing. It's the worst when I'm in a quiet environment, like trying to work or go to sleep. I hear this high-pitched sound that is driving me nuts. Sometimes it'll start to subside, but it still comes and goes. I think I could have permanent hearing damage. This guy has been giving me crap since I was a young kid, so this was not a one-time occurrence, though this was definitely the worst thing he's done to me by far. I've contacted a personal injury lawyer in my area to learn about my options, but I figured some people here might have good info as well. I won't hear back from the lawyer until tomorrow at the earliest. Any info is appreciated. Suing my uncle would tear a huge hole in my family, but I really don't care about that if I end up having a ringing in my ear for the rest of my life. It's interfering with my ability to sleep and work. Thanks for any help. Edit. I am seeing an audiologist in Ent this week. I will post an update here when I have one if the mods allow it. Update. I promised an update, so here it is. First off, I want to thank everyone who strongly suggested I go see a doctor as soon as possible. I went to see an Ent and audiologist approximately a week and a half after the incident occurred. My hearing test came back normal, which was very reassuring. The tinnitus was still quite bad, so I wanted to see if the doc could help with that. He put me on a steroid cycle for a week and a half, which just ended yesterday. I saw him again a week after the first visit, and we decided to try a steroid injection directly into both eardrums. This was a very unpleasant experience, as you can probably imagine. The ringing has gone down considerably, and I'm hopeful it will eventually be completely gone. It still bothers me at night and while I'm trying to work sometimes. The biggest problem lately has been that these steroids cause insomnia, so I haven't gotten a good night's sleep in weeks. This has caused me to have to cancel a summer project, since at this point, I'm far too behind schedule to complete it. My uncle has agreed to pay for all medical costs. I'm not planning on suing him. He knows he ducked up and was apparently crying on the phone when my parents called him to tell them what I was going through. My aunt has also had a really rough time since finding out the extent of the damage. I haven't talked to either one of them since it happened, and don't plan on talking to him anytime soon. They have offered to call me and apologize, but I don't want to talk to them. I just don't want to be around the guy after what he did to me. I'll probably end up spending some holidays alone, but I don't care. Duck that guy. Thanks for hearing my story and for all the advice. The last one is entitled Neighbor Doesn't Like Our Fence. This happened today. I'm helping my folks get a fence installed around the perimeter of the house. The installers came today and began outlining the area with some neon lanyard on rebar posts. A few moments later the neighbor comes out. She points to me and gestures me to come over to talk while shooing away my father. There have been arguments before. She begins to tell me that we are encroaching on her property line. I tell her that we are not and are going based off of where our driveway ends, and we also have a permit from our local village. She continued her talking and went about how the snow and rain from our driveway slopes and floods their basement. Our driveway is not sloped, and the fact she has flooding has more to do with structural integrity in her basement. Sometimes you can't reason with people, but I continued to explain that we are in the right, approved for the work, and surprisingly found out from an old property survey that the supposed area we are encroaching on actually belongs to us. I showed her the survey and it flew right over her. Later she contacted the village's Building and Public Works Department. The gentleman that came said that we were approved, and we continued. He mentioned that he was only there to serve as a civil court. The neighbor called the Public Works Department again an hour later and 2 individuals came this time. She didn't listen to us or the first inspector, but she seemed to be reasonable with the second. Out of spite she said she would install a fence into our driveway's concrete, and I said, "Sure, if you get the permit and if the contractor has sound judgment." Thanks for listening.